Welcome to Invest. We're talking about investing, finance, or professional development. As the recording time of 9:43 a.m. on the Eastern Time, Ethereum currently $3,144. That's about 0.08% so far. Respect to over crypto market, we're relatively flat. I would say up or down across the spectrum, with some altcoin a little bit more downwards than other because of its recent mini rally that we've been sustaining. So some investors are taking profit on a micro affectation driven type of altcoin, like specifically if you look at Cardano at the moment, they're about 2.5%, but across the market it's relatively just like up or down 0.5% so far. And on the foreshadow perspective, what are some of the things that we would look out for this week? I would say it's the same similar backwash, right? Things around the oil fluctuations, inflationary pressure, interest hikes, all these affectation combined with the macro catalyst, the Ukraine-Russian war, which seems like it's not really progressing. It seems like it's still developing on a day-to-day basis. But it's contained, I guess, in a way, based on what we have known so far from media affectation. And also other macro news from the international side of the house is from UK. It seems like Britain are, their government is planning on revealing their crypto regulatory plan in the coming weeks, which will lay out similar to like the crypto bill that US has been working on. So we'll see how that will triangulate into some sort of volatility coming, because if there's some implications around like tax infrastructure, transactional restrictions, things like that, anything that will put some more restriction around the flexibility of liquidity or potential profitability margin on a trade or a potential investments, can obviously convey some negative affectation on driving sell-off across the market, right? So that's just the way it is. And in addition to that, some other things that's quite interesting is it seems like Joe Biden, and this is something that's been in talks for quite some time, it seems like he's planning to propose a new 20% bare minimum billionaires tax. Obviously, it will be hitting some of the large corporations or billionaires of the world in the U.S. that will cut into their tax payment, which will support cut into their profitability margin at the same time, and that could convey some negative affectation across the equity market. So that's something to watch out for next week as well. But beside that, let's just dive into technicals without like wasting any more time. Same backwash around the war, same type of foreshadow around or speculations around Cold War happening. World War III could be breaking out in 2022, later half in Q4. So we don't really know if that's really truth, but we'll see how it goes, right? Just keep an eye out on it. So respective recording time of 9:46 a.m. on the Eastern Time. We are exactly at the comfortable level, right? 3150, which is, it's not a surprise. We've known this for quite some time. That's the reason why we naturally will stay there. If we're going to sell off, we're going to come back down to like the 3050, which is, the next non-substantive consolidative level, right? The reason we say this is because it's a flat number. But do we have a shot of actually continuing to go up? I would say, it's possible. But based on what you see here, if you look at the RSI, right, despite its relatively overbought, when we were, something that I suggest that people also look at is the momentum of the RSI. So if you put a bar in between, right, let's say 45 out of 70, right, you see that 45 is basically like the midpoint between, or 40, or let's say 50, right, anywhere around there. It's always important to put a bar in between to look at the momentum, right? So whenever you see, it going up to around like 50 and it bounced down, that's a resistance, right? So it's always important to understand the gauge of the momentum, like how long has we been surging so far, right? As we bounce from the 50 on the RSI scale, we bounce down, right? And then from there, you could see that we had another resistance level around 41, and you could see that there's been some consolidated level around the 41, which is going to allow to bounce back up, right? So right now, we've been elongated for quite some time, and you could see that the momentum bounce is like becoming more and more minimal and more minimal on a day-to-day basis. And at the same time, with respect to the MACD, it is it's been crossed up for quite some time, looking for an apex. And I would say the apex is already been formed yesterday, because it's kind of curving down at the moment. And can we have more shots of going up? Yes, you could say that if there's like a really positive black swan news that come out, we could technically continue to drag it up, because like we've seen the RSI go up to like what, even more severely up to like the 75 to even 80 before, right? But the what I'm trying to say is like investing is all about risk management. Is that a risk that you want to take? And that's up to your risk aversion, so you make your decision. But I'm telling you that the risk is higher than ever, not than ever. We're like really close to like walking into the sun right now, if you know my analogy. More analogies throwing at you, so something to think about. Is that the risk you want to take? But if you hold long term, like you could disregard what I'm saying completely, and because like me, I'm just being meticulous about risk control, and go ahead and buy in. That's but ultimately we know that the sell up should be happening, because technical doesn't really lie to us. But something to think about. We have we have bounce because we have all of these resistance that shows more momentum uptrend. But the momentum can only get so long. It's kind of like we throw a baseball up in the air, but there's some wind that kind of support the ball to keep going up. But can that last? Eventually, whatever goes up really, really fast, gravity always pulls you down, right? So Bitcoin is doing something comparable. We are forming, leaps up. You see that every single time. But like you could see that the leaps up is becoming more and more minimal. Now we start to curve down now, right? The next level is 48,000, right? So great that we're above it, but we need to kind of cool down and then sell back and then pump back up again, right? Dogecoin is up about 1.5%. I would touch this around like 1160 all the way to 1066. You could see that clearly we bounced from it, but we bounced from the 54 and then we go up. So do we see more like upward surge? Like based on historical, every single time we go up to like around the 60-ish, right? You kind of sell back down. So we are going to be selling down any days now for Dogecoin based on historical projections, right? Cardano is now about 2.4% because of the green candle we had yesterday. We're basically giving back everything up. Similar in affectation for Dogecoin. We're going to be selling back down shortly with the 70 out of 70 already. Solana is $100. $100 is a flat number, so it's not real. You can see that we have basically struggled for the last couple of days so far around 100. 112 is real, right? And you can see that the momentum's already kind of shifting, right? You can see that we've been pump up, but it's this one last one. We hit 64 out of 70. Now we have that pump up, but you can see that it reversed. So it bounced down twice on an RSI scale. We're already forming a curvature downward. So yeah, Solana's going to sell off. XRP is up about 1%, 69 to 57 based on the current setup right now. I would not really touch this. We're about to form a death cross as well. Polkadot's about 1%, 16.50 to $14 with this same thing, I would say, across the spectrum. It's a lot of bearishness going on right now. Algorand's up about 1%, 72 out of 267 with a 64 out of 70. Shiba Inu is not doing anything. Wow, it's so flat that it's like completely, maybe it's glitching. I don't know what's happening, but anyways, we know that Shiba Inu is like 2100, 1400 to 900 from here. We are at the 53 out of 70, and it's like consolidating for quite some time. But it's still on the negative side of the house because we have been leaped up for quite some time. So Apex has been formed for quite some time. And I don't suggest buying it right now. It seems like this is kind of an upward wedge. Upward wedge are always negative. So remember, you could kind of see it, right? It's like a kind of an upward triangle. But at the same time, we've been kind of dragged up. Sell down is going to be very imminent. MATIC is up about 0.5%. I would not touch this until 143 to 120. AVAX down about 1%. I would not touch this until 60 to 50. Luna, $90 right now. Head, shoulder. Yeah, I would say it's possible that we will pump up one more time. but it will be unlikely because of the RSI is kind of dying right now. You can see that, but it could resistance, another resistance come up, and then resist, but it's like kind of on the downtrend. So yeah, Luna could pump up one more time because of the on the other side of the house on the MACD front, but it could also be selling down because of the head and shoulder. And I would say the macro trend of the head and shoulder always dominates. So head and shoulder is going to kill Luna coming. So I would not touch this until 62, 52 to 45 from here. All right, so have a good Sunday. Hope this analysis was helpful. Appreciate you for joining this meeting again. And take care. Bye.